But let's get into the Seahawks Cardinals game, which is going to be this Sunday. And let's take a look at the matchups. So we've got the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. Got Joshua Dobbs of the Arizona Cardinals going up against Geno Smith. And now, if you're wondering why the name is still Joshua Dobbs and you don't see the video game boy Kyler Murray, is because Kyler Murray is still recovering from injury. And until then, Joshua Dobbs is going to play. And this is an opportunistic opportunity for the Seahawks that they are the heavy favorite to win this game. ESPN's analytics says they have them at around 80%, while the Cardinals are sitting at 20.2. I still am a little bit nervous about that with that 20.2 because I think they're looking at the fact that the Seahawks are struggling with their quarterback. Offense can get better. Defense, I will say, is a little bit better than last year. But other than that, they still got to step up to the plate. And they got James Conner still hanging around. He's getting up there in age, but he has 364 yards and 2 touchdowns. You never know if he can make some kind of an impact. And we got Kenneth Walker, 6 touchdowns, 345 rushing yards. Now let's take at the numbers of Smith. He's at 1172 yards passing, 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, while Dobbs is at 1215, 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So let's get into this. So Epic C Films. Oh, Connor's not playing. Man, I am off my game, clearly. Yeah, so shout out to Reflect the Sun. Man, this is kind of embarrassing. But yeah, it looks like now let's take a look at if there's any key injuries. I just got to see if there's anything like that. Injury report. So everyone just listed as questionable. Maybe if there's a full injury report. Taking a look at that for the Arizona Cardinals. James Conner is on IR. So yes, he is not going to be playing at all. So with a very shorthanded Cardinals team, you would still think that this could be a big opportunity for the Seahawks to get it done. Now, how are you feeling about this Seahawks-Cardinals game? Going to be at home, though.
Yeah, so it's a home game for the Seahawks, or is it at Carolina? Or
Arizona.
No, Arizona.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be in Seattle.
Okay. Yeah. So most of the games we usually win at home. I feel like around our fans, that gives us an advantage. I think this will be a very good win because if we can just because I feel like so far when we've been playing really well against teams that have been junky this year, our defense has been stepping up. It does what it needs to do. It puts the other team's offense at bay, I think, and I think that's such a good thing. So when your defense steps up, even back when Russell Wilson had a good defense, your quarterback doesn't have to do as much. And the one good thing, we said about Geno, is he gets very few turnovers. And the other good thing I can say is that his passing percentage is higher than a lot of quarterbacks. So and so if he can just stay steady and do the right things and not not fumble under pressure, we'll do fine. We'll have this. This will be an easy win for us. And so I can see the Seahawks walking to 4-2 easy,
I would hope so, but I don't want to say too easy because Seahawks have had those games where we thought this was going to be an easy game, and then they did lose that game. And also about the completion percentage, taking a look where Geno Smith is at in completion percentage. Geno Smith is an 11th in the league overall in passing percentage. He is behind 10 other quarterbacks. Josh Allen is at number 1. Then Tyson Bagent, but he's only played 1 game. So maybe to be more accurate, Geno Smith is still at top 10 in passing percentage. But my personal take on this is Seahawks have got to go out guns a-blazing. They've got to play well in their defense. Running game, they got to get it going. Now let's take a look at the offensive and defensive statistics for each team. So passing offense overall, I'll just do it by total yards, or shall I say maybe by their ratings. Seahawks is, unfortunately, they are actually in the mid-tier for their ratings on the offensive end as quarterback. And the Cardinals, they are at, finally the Cardinals, if I can even find it, Cardinals are at 84 in the rating, so they are just slightly below the Seahawks, so maybe it'll be an even match there. Now, in terms of rushing, Let's take a look at rushing. At rushing yards overall, Seahawks are still kind of in the bottom tier with just Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. And then for the Cardinals, they're actually one of the top runners in the NFL. And that was mostly due to James Conner playing pretty well. But now he is injured, and now he's suffering he's injured, so he's going to be out for that game. The other potential running backs would be Ingram and Demarcado would be their other running backs, and Damian Williams, except he's up there in 31. So maybe if you're a fantasy player, maybe you do add those guys for the future, or maybe for dynasty, just in case. So that's for rushing. Receiving, we don't really care. We already know it. Now for defense, let's take a look at the defense. For passing defense, and we're going to do it by yards allowed. Or maybe yards allowed is maybe not the most honest. Maybe by rate. It doesn't even have me for rating. So we'll just do it by yards.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of yards, for Seahawks do give up quite a bit. They are in the mid-tier in giving up yards. And for the Cardinals themselves, they are up there. They give up yards on the pass. So this is an opportunity for Geno Smith to get it going, to hit his receivers, because he's got DK Metcalf, he's got Tyler Lockett, he's got the three-headed monster in tight ends who do pretty well for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as for rushing defense, in terms of who gives up the most yards, well, Broncos give up the most yards, I will say. Let's take a look at where the Seahawks are. They actually they are fourth best rushing defense in the NFL, and the Cardinals actually give up a lot. So just by these numbers alone, this is a great opportunity for the Seahawks to actually win this game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have any excuses. I'm not going to blame the refs for this. I'm going to blame this on the Seahawks if they lose. This is the game to lose. Just by looking at all those stats, films, what do you think? Do you think this should be an opportunistic victory? You would think it would be easy because the numbers say it for you, but of course, it's football. Things happen in the game of football.
So any team can win on any day, at any time. But the thing about it is that I feel like the Seahawks, and I am a Seahawks fan, so I am kind of biased here. But what I'm trying to say is that the Seahawks, just look at the numbers, have a more complete team. Because right now, the Seahawks are more healthy. And I feel like their defense is better than the Cardinals. The Cardinals right now, you can't rely on them because the one thing you've seen over the last year and a half, basically, is the Cardinals don't know how to finish a game. The Seahawks are better at finishing games. They finish twice as many games or so as the other team does. That's why their record is better. Pete Carroll knows how to make better decisions. Do the Cardinals have a new coach this year?
Let me take a look at their coaching staff for the Cardinals. Yeah, I'll verify that with you. It's Jonathan Gannon. I think this is his very first season as a head coach. Yeah, this is his first season as a head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. This is a lost season for the Cardinals so far because they don't have Kyler Murray. So they are in that kind of a transition mode. But although Kyler Murray does eat up much of their cap.
Mm-hmm. But so because what I was going to say before is the previous years, their coach did not make the best decisions. They made some bad their coach made some bad decisions. I've seen it during some Seahawks games, and it was just not pretty and stuff. And so one of the interesting things is that this coach does not have Kyler Murray. If Kyler Murray comes back and they start winning games, then maybe people will get off of Kyler Murray's back. With most quarterbacks, if you win, things are forgiven. It doesn't matter how you win, as long as it's not cheating. People will be off your back.
I guess so. But yeah, it's unclear when Kyler Murray is going to come back anyway. But he was up there. He was a pretty decent quarterback, but right now he's not going to be playing. And hopefully the Seahawks can take advantage of all those injuries that the Cardinals have. But here's the thing. Even if the Seahawks win, but it's not in a very convincing fashion. Now, there is a thing where, a win is a win, but if they don't win on a dominating fashion after going through all those numbers, especially when they have a pretty big disparity from each other, I would actually be concerned. Like if the Seahawks like really edged it out for whatever reason, I would actually be concerned. Now, if the Seahawks actually just blow out this team, which is very possible, then I will feel a little bit more confident, just slightly. But don't forget, this is also a divisional rival game. And when it comes to divisional rival games, things do get ugly because I remember in years past, the Seahawks had difficulties defeating the Arizona Cardinals in years past. Like I remember the Cardinals arguably knocked the Seahawks out of the playoffs in 2017 when Carson Palmer was not even playing. And that was like Drew Stanton, I think was their quarterback. I don't even know if it was even Drew Stanton at that point. But other than that, like they've really got to, I really want a nice, clean blowout victory. And hopefully we can see that. I mean, I'm not asking them for like that 2012 58-0 game against the Seahawks. If you remember that, where it was John Skelton. And how did you nickname John Skelton at the time?
Skeleton?
You referred to him as John Skeleton.
Because I thought it was pronounced skeleton, so I didn't really realize.
And he literally did play like a skeleton in that game, unfortunately.
Yeah. But to me, all that matters at the end of the day is us getting a W. Because a lot is forgiven. As long as you keep winning games, it doesn't matter if you win a game by 50 points or by like 2 points. Because at the end of the day, a win, some people say a win's a win. Yes, I get what you're saying. Winning a game by a huge margin does prove that you can, like, you do have great offense when a team is really bad. But at the end of the day, it's like the win is a win. You move on, you play the next game, you get prepared for the next game. Because having 20 points more than another team doesn't mean you're that much better than another team. Maybe that team just had a really bad day. So how can you really prove that you're really that much better when that team doesn't have all their pieces? And
you just want to win in dominating fashion, because when it comes to that, points differential will be your friend, especially when it comes to tiebreakers if the Seahawks do get into that position. So I do want a really nice, convincing victory out of the Seahawks.